welcome to the Instagram Stories Flash Briefing. I'm your host, Daniel Hill, because I care about Instagram so much. I have to do this every single day, but once per weekend. Sorry guys, personal time, you understand. Today I want to get back into the close friends feature that we've been talking about. There was an interview on TheVerge.com where they were interviewing Robby Stein, who works in product at Instagram. He gave some awesome insights on the close friends feature. Here we go.
Actually, the first version of Close Friends was called Favorites, and you could then post both stories and feed posts to it. And the feed post would go to a special tab on your profile with a little star that was called Favorites. And if you were in a Close Friends list, you could see that content on your friend's profile on that separate tab. We learned very quickly that product did not do very well when we were testing it. I think the most important lesson was that, particularly between feed and stories, people really believe that the purpose of feed was to help share some of the highlights of their lives. And that was so ingrained in people's minds, it might feel a little bit unusual to post a very raw, goofy, blurry photo, as an example. It feels like it might be out of place there, even if it's in a restricted part of feed. And then on the profile, we also noticed no one really went to the profile to look at the feed content, and they just didn't really realize it was there. Translation is really important when you name a product, and we messed that up. We thought favorites was very simple because in English it's a very clear word, but in other languages it's not. And so in one of the languages, we realized based on the translation, it actually meant my beloved one, which when you translate it and view that strictly, people were only posting one person, or they were adding one person to their list. And we saw in a few of the countries where the translation didn't work, the lists were one, like exactly one, which obviously would make the feature fairly hard to use. We actually did research the name very deeply with people. And I think when we asked people, hey, who are your favorites? It really, to them, suggested the 1, 2, 3 kind of size people in their social graph. And when we talked to people about close friends, it was really closer to maybe 1 or 2 dozen. And it felt like, okay, this is really the inner group of people that I would feel okay posting really goofy things that may be embarrassing. If I posted to everyone who was following me, I might be a little embarrassed by it.
I love the background explanation that Robby gives and what goes into coming up with these ideas, testing them, and eventually what become features that we know and love, or we don't use personally, but we know other people that do. Have you been using the close friends feature? How's it been going? Have you been using it to separate your personal life from your work life? I'd love to hear. Check out my latest post on Instagram where we're discussing this interview. That's it for today's Flash Briefing. Thanks for listening.